I'm Jay.
I'm Derek.
And I'm Ian.
And we're the three-dimensional dads. And very recently, within the last 48 to 62 hours or so, we saw a little film called The Mandalorian and Grogu. And I, for one, would just like to start off with, I am happy to see Star Wars on the big screen again.
Yes, me too. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Something to take the kids to.
Yeah, it's you know what I noticed when we were there is that so many kids and parents were like dressed up. Like parents had the t-shirts on for the most part, but the kids were wearing Mando costumes and Grogu costumes.
Yeah.
Lots of helmets.
Yeah, lots of helmets.
I haven't seen that in forever. It's been a while since I saw, like, it was packed. When we saw it together, we saw it on IMAX. The place, there were so many people there. Even our showing was packed. I feel like most movies I've seen, like the theater itself is not packed. And then like in the lobby and stuff, not packed. This place was packed, solid.
They had a perfect formula for Memorial Day weekend too. Rainy Memorial Day weekend on a Saturday or Sunday. You have no work on Monday. Yeah, they hit it. They nailed it.
Yep. So like, and people don't know that like the mall that we see movies in for the most part is the mall that time forgot.
Oh yeah,
it's a very depressing mall.
Pretty sad.
And if you're on the North Shore, you know exactly which one we're talking about, Liberty Tree Mall. But yeah, so that mall has seen some troubles, but it was hopping on Sunday, hopping. And a lot of it was the fact that this new Star Wars movie came out, and it's great to see it on the big screen because that's how Star Wars was meant to be shown. It was meant to be on a big screen. It was meant to be seen by kids on an afternoon, rainy or sunny. It didn't matter. But George Lucas had a formula. He wanted to do these serials, right? And I think that's where I'm going to start off, right? So this has been a very controversial Star Wars movie for the last couple weeks, okay? Like leading up to the premiere and then the premiere. Some people are down on it because it felt like an extension of the show, just like an extra long episode. But some people were happy about the fact that it was basically an extra long episode, that it didn't have anything to do with Luke Skywalker. You didn't see, any of the central characters to everything. That's not a spoiler. I mean, like, if you don't know that by now, then something's wrong. But this was a standalone, like even I was a little disappointed that we didn't see some other stuff, but in the end, this was an episode of the show, and it was longer, and it was louder, and it had, great heart.
There's some money on that screen. I saw like big effects and like,
And it was just, that's my initial thought. Derek, what do you think?
I think this was really. I think it was meant to give butts and seats to see Star Wars again.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think it was safe. I think that, I think Lucas films and, Disney and everything have had kind of like a rocky go at it. And they needed something that was kind of going to appeal to a lot of people. I think that's kind of what Star Wars is a lot of the time. I really felt nostalgic seeing this one, though.
Yep.
I did feel it was an extension of the show, but also it felt bigger. It really did. It felt more real, I think, than the prequels did. And I think in some ways better than the sequels in a lot of ways, just in terms of how real and grounded the effects felt.
Yep.
All the scenes, everything felt just so detailed, had all those little Star Wars things for it. And the whole movie just kept moving.
Yep.
It was great. It was a great pace. I mean, you really didn't have time to sit down and think about any of the kind of like the flaws until after it was over, really, in my opinion. So it touched on a lot of things that I remember from my childhood with Star Wars. There was definitely a lot of fan service, but I loved it. I mean, come on, they're going to sell millions of lunchboxes with Grogu on it. And lots of toys, I think, after this.
I was thinking that too, where it's Jon Favreau that was the director.
Yeah.
And so like Jon Favreau's made some movies like Elf or Iron Man. Like he's made some movies that are classic.
Yeah.
Just really, really good movies.
Yeah.
So I felt like we were in good hands when you're watching this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I want to start off with something good, right? I want to say something good, but it's also something that people could see as a critique. Okay. It was Mandalorian and Grogu. It was just these characters for the most part, on a mission. And I thought that was great. I thought it was great because it was self-contained. But the thing that kind of threw me for a curveball is like, I don't want to say it didn't push the story forward, but I felt like it didn't expand the universe. And I feel like the Star Wars universe is always expanding. So I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. My personal favorite thing, though, was what was Derek saying. The movie moved. It had a purpose. Mando had a purpose. Grogu had a purpose. The opening sequence on the ice planet with like the nouveau riche snow troopers and stuff, like that was great. That was classic Star Wars. And from there it fired through. And I think that was my favorite part of it, is that this was a story. This was a story, and it had a purpose, and it had a drive. It didn't wander. Even the parts that you thought might wander a little bit didn't wander. It flew. It just moved. And that was my favorite part of it, is that I felt like I was on a ride.
Yeah. So I saw it twice. Jay, I think you saw it twice as well.
I'm seeing it with my brother-in-law later in the week when he comes in from Oklahoma.
I'm definitely going to see it again.
Right? Yeah. So we all are seeing it multiple, but I think that's part of being a Star Wars fan, or just a movie fan in general, as a movie buff. Sometimes the first time I see a movie, it's competing with my expectations.
Yes.
What I saw in trailers, what I expect from being a hardcore Star Wars fan, what I expected from the show. And then when you see it that second time, then okay, it goes left instead of right. It does this. You kind of get what it is. And so I feel like the second time I could just enjoy it. Because sometimes I go like, oh, I was expecting this. And you come out and you feel like, oh, it wasn't exactly what I pictured in my brain. And either for good or bad. Yeah. But I think that's great. Then the second time to go like, you know what? No, this is awesome Star Wars. Yeah. Is that if you go in and it's this curse of long form storytelling, and we've said this on the podcast a bunch with Marvel or with Star Wars, is that we go, how does it connect to the bigger story? Yep. It's like we had these stories that just for so long were connecting to a main story and blew our minds so much that like we're kind of, they were building a joint universe. And I feel like Marvel and Star Wars have backed off and go like, no, this is siloed. This is its own little thing. Don't worry about that big, story that you were watching. Which we didn't get a Mando season 4. Right. We had all these characters coming together and all these things happening. So I had all these expectations. And then to be like, oh, this was just a silo again. Once I understand that's what it was, and it was easier to go in and just have an awesome time. And seeing it on IMAX the second time. My first time I saw it 3D, which because it was just for like showing time. My daughters were it was just be too late. So
Whenever,
we were like, 3D one. But it was dull. And it was like a smaller aspect and like, dark almost. Then when we saw it on IMAX, Jay, when you were saying like a Star Wars for the big screen. Yeah. Yeah. Jon Favreau filmed this movie thinking about IMAX.
Forged for IMAX.
Oh, yeah. The AT-ATs that are huge and big explosions and shit. Like, yes, this was made for IMAX and for a big screen.
Yeah. I mean, even the intro to, Dolby Atmos, right, was custom for the Mandalorian. It was like forged. Like, it was really at the beginning of it. It was, they've put so much marketing behind this. I mean, with all the appearances and everything. I mean, Jon Favreau coming up with the little, android, Grogu doll and everything. They've hyped this up a lot. And, I think it mainly delivers. It's interesting that you bring up the show, because if I do now you kind of have me backpedaling a little bit, because if I do think of the context of the show, right, it did have kind of arcs, right? With one thing I love about Andor, right, is that how they talk about good versus evil in terms of the Empire and the rebellion, right? This really was kind of devoid of any of that, right? It was very sort of self-contained. It was sort of this side adventure. The conflict with any element of having to do with kind of like the Empire, right, was sort of just done even before the first act. It was tangential. It had
Empire's
nothing really
bad.
to do
We
with
all
the
accept
story.
that.
Yeah,
but they're not going to show us the Empire being bad.
Right. And I think mainly because of the audience, and mainly they want summer blockbuster and they want to, kids and parents and everything. I think that they really, catered to kind of this being more of a popcorn family kind of adventure. Whereas I think, when you talk about the seasons and you talk about, the story development that they have, right? They some of those themes are pretty dark, right? In the first season, right? With Moff Gideon and things coming. But this was very lighthearted. It's almost if it's I think a lot of that long form storytelling, stopped with the seasons of The Mandalorian, and this was like their own little adventure afterwards.
Now,
and that's fine.
At the sake of crossing franchises here, I'm going to draw a little parallel that just came into my mind. We've had a season of The Punisher on Daredevil, season 2. We've had 2 seasons of The Punisher, which I'm actually rewatching. I'm on episode 3 of season 2. And we've had The Punisher One Last Kill. Extremely violent, extremely gory. Serves the Punisher character very well. The Punisher is now coming to Spider-Man, a PG-13 universe, which they even make a joke about. He's about to swear and he gets webbed in the mouth.
Yeah.
It just reminds me that sometimes the transition from different formats is easy and sometimes it's not so easy. Yeah. This transition was very easy. Like, I didn't have to think about it. This is the first time really we've seen Mando on the big screen.
Well, and when we're talking about Star Wars, I've been saying the best Star Wars is Mando.
Yeah.
So, like, when we see all these other movies, they're like, oh, was Solo good? Was the sequels good? All this other stuff. It's like, yeah, but I feel like if you just watch the first season of The Mandalorian, that's the best Star Wars I've seen. The most artistic. Like, it felt like Star Wars.
Since
and
Empire.
Star Wars were movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or Jedi. Some people like Jedi over Empire. I don't know. I'm never going to understand some people, but that's just me. But you're right. Like, some of the best storytelling, character development, and even like the idea of like a space Western, like the first season of Mandalorian encompassed that feeling that you got when you saw Han Solo, right? Like this, cowboy, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
But now
totally.
you're transitioning to have the kind of that backstory of the Mando, who was even more mysterious than Han Solo. So yeah, I think moving from little screen to big screen in this case was very, very easy on the brain.
Yeah.
I went in feeling good about it.
One thing I worry about is all this stuff that they're making. It's like eating the lunch of these previous works. So, like, I think about, like, as I'm looking at a screen, I had a moment where I thought, oh, look, it's Boba Fett and Yoda and Jabba the Hutt on an adventure. Like, it's not really new characters. They're we changed it up a little bit and made them cuter, made them whatever. But, like, it's the same iconography. It's the same, like, the son of this, the son of that. Oh, that's the son of Skywalker. It's the son of Palpatine. It's the son of, like, okay. We don't have solid new characters to watch have their own adventure that are different from this iconography that we had, because they're trying to play on nostalgia and all of that. And I think about that with Marvel too. It's like they're referencing back to these earlier things. But now we've having this period where, like, are they doing enough stuff now that they can reference later? Where we're always looking backwards and they go like, yeah.
So this is a problem I've recently seen on TikTok. Is apparently the treatment for episode 9, like the Colin Trevorrow treatment, was found or released or whatever. I don't know if it's BS or whatever, but like they've been AIing the treatment, and like, so you kind of been like seeing like what it might have looked like, but
yeah,
on the same lines is like, if these people are doing these Star Wars properties, Marvel properties, DC properties better than the other films, like what does that do to kind of the legacy of all these things? Like, Mandalorian was such a great Star Wars movie. It was a great Star Wars movie.
Right.
Does that make Solo bad? Does that make Rogue One not as powerful? Like, I get worried that, we have these bigger and bigger events and it overshadows some of the really great stuff we've had before. Like the original Iron Man in 2008 was a great film. It was a great comic book film. No, you didn't have any Avengers stuff until the post-credit scene. But now you look back on that and it's like, that was still a great comic book film, even with all these bigger things. I think the problem we have now with Star Wars is that we're having great Star Wars coming. right? That Starfighter movie, even though it's Ryan Gosling, and he's a hunky dude, let's get some eye candy on the screen for the ladies. I understand. But again, non-Skywalker, X-Wings, like Top Gun, like I have expectations that that's going to be amazing only because it's new. It's something different. Like we haven't seen on the big screen, The Mandalorian. Seeing it was awesome. We haven't seen a Top Gun X-Wing Star Wars movie before. That's going to be awesome, but like now we're looking back on like, oh, I guess was Solo that good? Was like, we're having all these kind of like, I don't want to say buyer's remorse, but like we have people, and I'm not talking about me specifically, I'm talking about like what I've read on the threads and everything like that. People are like, see, this is how you're supposed to do Star Wars. Like it's fanboy stuff. And it like, to me, it clouds the joy of what Star Wars should be. It's an adventure.
Well, the fandom definitely. That's always a tough thing with stuff. I mean, I even examine the way I talk about stuff as a Star Wars fan because of how toxic I've seen a lot of this stuff get. And that I think, as dads, we all like our bottom line that we've shifted to, especially on a podcast where we talk about Star Wars so much, is like my kids loved it. They had a blast. They don't have any of this angst and this stuff. My daughter cried at one point where she was afraid for Mando. Yeah. And like she was feeling it. They were laughing with Baby Yoda. They loved it. And so it's made for me. It's made for them. There was plenty of deep, geeky Star Wars stuff. We won't spoil on this. Oh, I was pointing out all these little like, oh, look at that Easter egg and this thing from all different Star Wars eras. Like they put the geek stuff in. They put the kid stuff in. It's supposed to be fun. Because I can go like, oh, this wasn't what I expected this, or where I would take the story if I could. But what's most exciting is Dave Filoni. I mean, that's the other like, Dave Filoni's taken over Lucasfilm. Yeah, so we've seen this movie and like in Starfighter, I don't think were his thing. It was still kind of part of the old guard. Yeah. So whatever's coming for Star Wars after that, I do think we're going to get this really deep, rich, long-form storytelling with like real Star Wars lore and like new Jedi stories. I think that's where I'm coming from.
I'm going to tee up Derek on this. So like Dune, Derek, your baby, right? Dune. No, we didn't have any of that. I mean, the last Dune movie was like in the 70s, right? Right.
Like David Lynch's.
Lynch's.
And then sci-fi.
And then you had this dude. Yeah. We didn't have any of that like
toxic
fanboy stuff, right? That's what I hope we get away with. So like, I mean, Derek, some thoughts about like the comparison to like, where this universe is going, your Duneverse?
Yeah.
Did I just invent a word?
I like it. It was a good term.
It's really hard because now I'm going to go to The Last Jedi. When you had somebody try to kind of diverge away from the Skywalker story and kind of make their own thing, and how bad it was received, right? And I loved it. I was like, yes, we need something different. We need something new, right? Before you had tried to do the Duneverse comparison, something that I really started to love, and I think you can see there being a forging away with Filoni, right, was the Ahsoka series.
Yes.
I thought there was even though, right, it's still in that world and you still have characters, there were a lot he has in those animated series, and he's bringing it to Ahsoka. Lots of original ideas of the Force and Jedi and evil, right, and gray, and not everything is black and white, but he's doing it very much in the classical sort of George Lucas way, telling like a hero's journey story. He very much is a student of Lucas, right? And he very much understands that you have to have a plan, I feel like, right? And you have to have a story that's set in lore. And I'm excited to see that. And I really can feel that in the Ahsoka series. He's bringing in like Ezra. He's bringing in like, the crystal ice wolves, right? And all of that spiritual kind of things that he even goes deeper in a lot of ways.
Yeah, right.
And I guess the cool thing is, though, he doesn't lose the sense of what Star Wars is. And I feel like really him and Favreau to bring it back to Mando and Grogu, right? They make those nods to the previous movies and stuff by making sure, like Ian, you said, it's a kids movie.
Yeah.
In the end, I really feel like I don't know how you steer away from. It's our world now. Everyone's going to be a critic about everything, and I think what you say, Ian, right? To a testament, right? I feel like, did the kids like it?
Well, if you're looking for, I think now, I'm feeling middle-aged. Yeah. I'm over 40. I think when I was a little bit younger, I looked to these franchises to be my source of quality storytelling and deep, rich character studies. And like now that I'm a little more mature, I go like, I could get that other places. This does not have to be that.
Yes.
Is it Baby Yoda being cute and we're having a great time and everyone's happy and this is great and we'll go buy lightsabers when we go to Disneyland and like, okay, awesome, cool. I can share Star Wars with my kids. Awesome. That's a win.
When I was our kids' ages and stuff, I love the Ewoks. I love the Ewok adventures.
Me too.
They were like my favorite thing. I wanted to run around in the forest and like take out ATSTs dressed up like a little teddy bear. And people, and then I come to learn like when I'm like an adolescent, right, or a young adult, like, oh, Ewoks were so stupid. I was like, what?
You know what? They should have shown the Ewoks eating the stormtroopers.
Right. Well, you see their helmets just there at the celebration.
Yeah, right.
After everything, you're like, what happened to the bodies of the storm? They're just like playing the drums on their helmets. I'm like, so they're just like dead bodies.
They're in the big giant soup cauldron.
All those fires that they made around there.
Yep.
They're burning the corpses.
It's
and
just
that
dark.
That seems like a great place to kind of.
All right, kids, good night. Well, you can't leave it on that.
No, I'm not going to leave it on that. But I will say this, right? I will say this. It's definitely worth another watch. If you haven't seen it yet, please go see it, and please go see it with an open mind, and just enjoy the ride. I think if I gave it a grade, 4 Grogus out of 5 Grogus, I think. Was I expecting a little hint of something attached to the Ahsoka-verse? Yeah, a little something, but am I disappointed about it? No, because as Ian said, we're a little bit more mature now, and we're not going to get all bent out of shape because our fan wasn't served, if you know what I'm saying. Right? Yeah. So I give it a 4 out of 5. I think it was a great ride. Go see it.
I give it an A. I'm gonna go a completely different, not an A plus, it's definitely not a B. It's an A. It's a solid A. They didn't get any extra credit, but I feel like it's a solid Star Wars movie. It really brought back a lot of great feelings. It was just fun. You would see it again. It is the blockbuster, I think, of the summer that we all needed and deserved. And it's just a fun Star Wars movie for everybody, I feel like.
And I will give it 1.5 thumbs up to change again our rating scale for a third time.
Is that out of 2 thumbs or out of like
how
many thumbs?
Can you do half thumbs? I never knew. So I think my first time seeing it, I'd give it a 1 thumb up. And I thought like, it didn't connect with, any of that. Because I feel like even the Mando show had some of that where it went, oh my God, cloning. Yep. I don't know. It would do something like the Luke Skywalker arrival. Mm-hmm. You didn't have to have a whole story. Like that was such a mic drop moment that like I was hoping for more like that. But then my second time was like, there's so much in this for my kids. And as a Star Wars fan, the Star Wars fan stuff is beautiful.
Yes,
I mean,
it is.
So that's why I give it, it's not a full 2 thumbs, but I give like a 1.5 thumb.
Yeah.
And when we were in our 30s, that would have been like a disappointment. But now we're like,
right,
good stuff. And as a final thought, Spider-Man, now you got something to go up against.
Yeah.
Like, what is going to be the movie of the summer? I personally can't wait for Disclosure Day. That's going to be really cool.
That's going to be fun, too.
Masters of the Universe is looking good. I'm hearing good things.
Supergirl.
Yeah. You know what? I will say this, and we're going off on a tangent here. The second trailers for all these films have made me feel better about the films. The first trailers, I was like... But the second trailers, I'm like, okay, I feel good about it.
Yeah.
Makes me want to go back to the Super Bowl when I first watched that Mando and Grogu with the Clydesdales. I'm like,
right. So we'll keep these reviews coming all summer. That's a tease up for what's coming after this review. Stay tuned.
That's right. So for the three-dimensional dads, I'm Jay.
I'm Derek.
And I'm Ian.
And we'll see you at the movies?
See you at the movies.
Can I say that?
Is
that someone else's? This is the way.
I think so. This is the way.
This is the way.